It's a double Dustin treat. Big week last week, and it continues this week, Dustin Dopirak, for Indiana basketball. As in the previous segment, I said I cannot remember a time in my memory that they had 5 consecutive recruits of this level, at this talent level, just in back to back to back to back to back. Last week you had Jamie Kaiser and Arrington Page, and then Deshaun Harris-Smith, and now you've got Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley, who I know there were 25 guys, but it's still boom, 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 boom. That hasn't happened in my memory. That's 5 straight elite recruits.
Yeah, I and I'm sure you guys talked about this, but and I've been sort of behind when it's come to recruiting, but I'm interested in the scheduling of it, just because generally when you start scheduling these visits, a part of the reason why you don't necessarily put them back to back at this stage is you usually start scheduling football weekends. And I think part of it is they've got more visits involved. I presume they're able to take more, and the entire setup is different because I think you're allowed to take more officials. You're allowed to take junior year officials or whatever, or what counts as junior year, what counts.
Harris-Smith canceled his upcoming visit with Jamie Kaiser had a scheduled visit with UCLA that he canceled after his visit to Indiana.
Interesting.
And
it's interesting that they I guess that's what the move is saying, like, we're trying to get this done now. We're trying to get these guys finished up. We're not waiting for you to see what it looks like in the fall. We want to know now. But it's interesting that it's just it does seem just to be a different calculation. Whereas it seemed to be when they started, I think again you must be allowed to take more of them, but it usually seemed like if they were getting out of state kids, instead of saying get to our campus right now, let's do this. It has generally been, and it's not just Indiana, but a lot of schools, come see us in September, see a fall weekend, see a football game, we'll take you out like that. We'll make it a whole show. And instead it's like, let's get you on campus right now. You're going to see enough of it, let's go.
Well, the thing seems to be, Dustin, Shooty, is getting them on campus, whether it's football or basketball. It's getting them to your place so you can lock them in a room. Not really, but you can show them. You can
poorly, I think.
Boy, you can show them all the video. I was being kidding. I was kidding. Lock them away from all the outside stuff and just try to best. In essence, you're brainwashing them into your school. You show that you put the jersey on them and you take the pictures and all of that, and you show them the film. And some schools they come out on the court and starting here at guard Dustin Dopirak. They do all that stuff, and Indiana doesn't do that. But something I did see that was different is, and it was Deshaun Harris-Smith's mother who said she got to meet Scott Dolson, the athletics director. She said that was a first, and honestly, it's first for me. I haven't really heard that. I guarantee you will hear it now from other people as soon as anybody does something. But what a great move! Damn, I've never heard of a parent getting to talk to the AD on their recruiting visit. Doesn't happen, but that's kind of Scott. Scott is like that. He's so approachable.
Well, I mean, these kids are spending you expect 3 to 5 years on campus, and he's going to have those student athletes are going to have a close relationship to the coach, to the administration, to the athletics director. So, but I mean, to the point of them getting these kids on campus earlier, I mean, I don't know. It's probably smarter for a place like Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State to get them on campus for a football game because you see the student support. We just talked about earlier how Indiana doesn't have the best fan support come football season, right? Like, I don't know if I don't want to say it hinders them because it's two different sports. Indiana's always been known as a basketball school, so it's not really comparable. But at the same time, I don't think that hurts you by not having them at a football game. Like, I just think it's pretty much a wash at that point because you're not. And if you do have a sold out crowd, usually it's because Michigan's in town, because Penn State's in town, Ohio State's in town, one of those schools. So, I mean, it's an interesting time. I mean, I don't know what Mike Woodson's mindset is, but to me, it doesn't matter if they're on campus for a football game or not at this point. When you talk about Indiana, Purdue, I mean, some of those other schools, it makes sense at the bigger ones. But maybe you can shed more light on that, Dustin.
Well, I mean, like I'm just thinking of those from yesteryear. I mean, I remember, Vic Oladipo came in for a football weekend. And so like Vic's was probably was one of the more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess public ones, mostly because they went to a frat house and somebody recorded him and Mo Creek having a dunk contest with some frat bros, so like, I don't know.
It's like on Winning Time. If you've seen that,
I haven't seen.
Oh man, there's a part where Magic goes to a party that's being held in LA and it's one of the current Lakers, and Magic gets schooled in street clothes on this all front of all these people. But sorry to interrupt.
Vic and Mo did not get schooled by anybody. But I mean, so I talked to years later, like we did a piece of The Athletic because we were just doing these like reaching back stories that didn't have to be tied to an anniversary or whatever. But I just did one on Vic and I asked because Derek had him there and Derek was like 1 minute is like Vic wants to hoop all the time. So Vic just like faded into this. So the point though is it's not just the football game. It's having everybody on campus, having all the students there, which means all the frat parties, like the entire social scene is kicking in September in a way that it is not at the end of July. Like you see the campus, you see what's going on, and there's value there. But it's like you don't get the whole social experience where you get the whole social experience if you come for a football weekend in September in terms of what it's actually like to be on campus in school. So you remember a piece of it too, like the counter of football not being a big deal is at Indiana, what you notice and like what kids generally take away from that is that everybody knows them. They get on campus and like everybody was ready for them to show up. Everybody knows who they are, where they play high school ball, what their AAU team is, where they're ranked, like all this stuff. Like students know, and particularly kids like at frat houses who like want to have the basketball guys show up every once in a while. They really know. And so like that's something they notice is that like there's a lot of places they go that are more football schools that they can fade into the background. But like when you show up at Indiana, everybody knows you're coming. And so like that's something they particularly notice on a football weekend. They notice also that they're as big of a deal as a visitor as the football game is.
Yeah.
And like that is something that they pick up on. And so like in a way, the football thing kind of plays to their advantage. But like, I mean, people are taking pictures of them in the stands, like they notice that everybody around them is looking at them, but they are very much VIP when they show up in an Indiana football game because it was like, whoa, like this is the most important thing happening in this building. Not even what's on the field is this guy being here, depending on who it is, obviously. But like there are times when like the thing that people are IU fans are most interested in is who's sitting next to Mike, or Archie when it was Archie or Tom when it was Tom, like that is something. Now, again, getting him on campus as fast as possible. I mean, like that's its own strategy, so that's its own separate strategy. But that's, I think, the value there. Like that's what comes in. And obviously it's different guys when they want to make a decision, when they want it over with, whether they even want to travel during the school year, and have to go out to some campus and come back on, Monday from wherever they were, like all of that is part of the factor in terms of getting him in. But that's the value is that you are the guy on campus that week and everybody cares about you. And, despite the fact there's 40,000 people on campus, not all 40,000, because obviously there's still thousands of kids who don't care about basketball, even at Indiana.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's funny. Imagine there are thousands of kids that don't even know. They could be sitting next to Trace Jackson Davis, possibly. I hate to use that
less
because
likely
he's so
at
tall,
Indiana
but
than other schools. Is the
yeah, absolutely.
You stick them at, I don't know, Cal Berkeley or whatever, and they'll be like, I don't care about your sports. I don't.
Yeah, most of the time people are going to know. I mean, I remember being in a freshman class, like a 100 level class, and Jamal Meeks walking by when I was in school, and I'm like, damn, that's Jamal Meeks. He was a year older than me, but. But yeah, but they're killing it on the recruiting trail, man, and it's such a difference because I think that we talked earlier. I don't what the odds of Indiana landing all three of the guys from last week are, but it's like Kyler said, it's not out of the question.
Yeah,
I think that they get 2 out of the 3. I really do, and all 3 are not out of the question because of the need and the fit and the opportunity for those guys. So, but man, oh man, I asked them. I'll ask you the same question: if they were to land all 3 of those guys, what message does that send to other recruits, to other teams, to everybody?
No, it's a big deal. I mean, anytime you land guys, and anytime you get anytime you get somebody to sign with you, it's a big deal. I mean, so now, I mean, are there you could also simultaneously argue okay, you just, you didn't get the best player in your state. That just happened this week too. So all of this, there's constant rise and fall in terms of who you get, who you don't get. But whenever you get somebody, it's a boost. And and they are 3 players that would make a difference. That are guys that I think really sort of fit what Woodson's looking for, in that they're long, they're rangy, they're multi-positional type guys that you could see making for a more a group that fits, that's able to play 4 out 1 in on offense, it's able to switch a lot on defense. They want more and more of that. Where they probably inherited some guys that were more sort of tied to 1, maybe 2 positions. You're starting to add guys that really fit. That make you that give you the versatility that Woodson wants, and that makes a difference. Landing guys from several different parts of the country makes a difference. Just showing again you're gonna stick your flag in there. But again, you win some, you lose some, and obviously I don't know how close they were on Booker, but you get him, and it's probably even a bigger message than if you get these 3 guys. And that might not make them a better team, but it would have been a bigger message. So
yeah, I wonder if they just got in too late.
Maybe altogether possible. Booker it seemed like Michigan State was the team from the beginning.
And
it went back and forth.
And because the staff seems to be honed in on that 2025 class, mainly because the 24 class is kind of weak, and they already have what. They could already have what they need for 24, but so they have 25 is the first next open spots, and that's the guys like Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson, who are on campus today and tomorrow at IU. So that
which
continues.
Are really important. They're not trying to get it twisted, not trying to say they're screwing anything up. They're not. It's what's the word I'm looking for here exactly? It's messages and stuff like that. I mean, again, everybody else is recruiting too. Everybody else is getting some guys in and has gotten some big names and stuff. So, everybody you get matters. Everybody you get matters. But it's okay, obviously for Indiana to make a big statement, they have to get a guy that Duke can't get, or Kentucky can't get, or whatever, or Michigan State can't get, or whatever. That's how they make a big statement. You put yourself in good position when you have a good class, and obviously they put themselves in really good position with their 2022 class. Nobody thinks Mike Woodson can't recruit. Now are they? They are not getting on. They're not on the Duke block yet. So that's a different level. But what's been proven, I think, is Indiana can hang with all of the sort of reasonable other programs. Basically, there's Duke is up here, and Kentucky's maybe a notch lower, and Kansas and North Carolina are still up there. But basically, once you get past that, what is now I think the 4 person blue blood class, Indiana can beat out anybody else.